Jace Tunnell here. Today we're off the beach and we're here with our partners at the Texas State Aquarium where they're going to actually show us how they take care of sharks. So let's go check it out. Hey Jesse,
Morning,
good
Jace.
to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
You too.
Yeah, well, welcome.
Thanks for inviting us here at Texas
Absolutely.
State Aquarium. Maybe tell us a little bit about your exhibits and animals that you have.
Absolutely. So the aquarium opened 34 years ago, 1990. We're the official aquarium of the state of Texas. We're 501c3, but the largest aquarium, about 2 million gallons, 4,000 animals call this place home. Everything from dolphins, invertebrates, starfish, shrimp, we got fish. And then we got one of the largest rescue programs in the country right next door. And so thousands of sea turtles. We're now the only licensed manatee facility in the state of Texas, or outside of the state of Florida. So that program just continues to grow and grow and grow. Over 500,000 people come to the aquarium every year. So it's quite an operation here in Corpus Christi, and we focus on the Gulf of Mexico and Caribbean Sea.
Wow, and you have sharks too, right?
We do have sharks. Let's go see them. So Jace, this is our Caribbean Sea exhibit at the Texas State Aquarium. It's about 500,000 gallons of seawater. And this is where the majority of our larger sharks live. So these are brown or sandbar sharks, commonly found here in the Gulf of Mexico and off the Texas coast. We have one male and then a number of females, so he lives the good life in here. And a very docile species of sharks, so they're good. They tell the story, the importance of sharks in Texas and the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And then in our other exhibits, we have an Islands of Steel exhibit that kind of depicts an oil rig that you find out in the Gulf. And in that exhibit, we have sand tiger sharks. We have 2 male sand tigers in there. And then we have a number of other exhibits where there's smaller sharks where guests can actually touch them and they can feel the shark's skin and what that feels like, that abrasiveness to it. And really our goal here is to try to take the fear of sharks out of it. They're important, predators in the ocean. They really keep the ecosystems balanced. And so they're safe. You can come and see them, you can touch them, and really have a respect for them instead of fearing them. So you want to check one out at the top?
Let's go.
All right.
So we just walked through the rainforest and this Caribbean exhibit. Maybe tell me something about that.
Sure. So when our founders first thought up the aquarium in the late 60s, there were 4 components to it, and a Caribbean rainforest was part of that initial vision. And so in 2017, we were actually able to open the Caribbean exhibit. So it's a rainforest, talks about the different birds that call the Siancán biosphere home. So that's a unique biosphere in the Yucatan Peninsula, so kind of south of Cancun, Cozumel area. And it's great because it's the Mesoamerican Barrier Reef System, so a massive reef system right off the coast. You have all the birds, you have some primates that call that space home, so we kind of try to replicate that here at the aquarium. And Hart Research Institute was an important part of that. We had some significant advisors on this project from Hart Research Institute looking at the habitat. We actually went down to Siancán a number of times, and then also our colleagues in Mexico and Cuba and the Tri-National Initiative that Hart Research has spearheaded. So this exhibit was a lot of fun to put together because it was unique for the aquarium. We kind of dipped our toes, if you will, on the terrestrial side of things. And then we were able to kind of bring people into the Caribbean Sea and what that might look like and create some unique experiences where you're walking through the jungle. You actually can see the sharks in the Caribbean Sea exhibit from up top, so this is a pretty unique view. As well as there's really no behind the scenes space here in the Caribbean exhibit. So if the animal care staff is working with the animals, you'll actually see that happening. There's essentially no behind the scenes space. We wanted to give our guests that experience. This is what it's like to work with these animals, whether it's a marine animal or terrestrial, and have that kind of unique connection.
Well, great. I know that I see birds flying around us, and then we also have the shark tank where you can see right down in here.
You see right down, yeah.
So maybe tell me a little bit about how you care for them and feed them.
Yeah, so the larger sharks, the sandbar sharks, the sand tiger sharks, we watch them very, very closely and really monitor their caloric intake. So we have to strike a balance here. We've got predator and prey in a space, and so how do we make sure that everybody's well fed and you don't want to maybe go chase after your neighbor? So there's this real fine balance that we use here at the aquarium. So one of that is their caloric intake. So we very, very closely monitor the amount of food the sharks take in, exactly what it is, their vitamins and minerals. There's actually nutritionists. There's a shark nutritionist that provides all that information to us based on their weight, their total length, and some of the other factors. And then the other thing that we really look at is because they're ectothermic, they're cold-blooded, we can really kind of somewhat help metabolism be controlled by temperature. So we actually keep the Caribbean Sea exhibit a little bit cooler. It's about 71, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That way it's a healthy temperature for all the animals, but nobody's really too warm, too excited, and we can help make sure everybody gets along from that standpoint. So when we do feed these sharks, we actually target feed them. So each shark is assigned an animal care staff member, and the sharks are conditioned to target feed. So they know to go to a particular station, and they get their ration, their diet. We can log all that in our database, and so we know who's eating what, did they get their vitamins, did they get their minerals, is there a medication we need to give them? You know, like we would take a medication in the morning, is there something we need to give them? We can actually direct that to the sharks individually. So when you feed in here, you've got to keep the sharks at their targets, and these are sandbar sharks, so they have to keep swimming. These aren't like nurse sharks that can just take a pause. So we have to, feed them and kind of move with them as they feed. But then also, how do we keep all of the bony fish, the herring, the large Goliath grouper? We've got to maintain all of that too, because once there's food in the water, it's dinner time for everybody. So there's a very choreographed sequence that goes on when you feed large exhibits like this, where you've got large sharks, the large oceanic sharks, and you've got large bony fish.
Wow, that's amazing. And
it's a
so
lot.
now we're actually going to get inside of there with the sharks.
We are going to get inside with the sharks again, 71, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's not like going out in the Gulf today, but yeah, we're going to get in. You're going to get to see them from underwater.
Okay, Jesse, so we're here. I see a shark cage here. So what are we about to do?
So we're behind the scenes of our Caribbean Sea exhibit. So a little bit, this is where our dive infrastructure is to get in and clean the exhibit, but we also offer a snorkeling program for guests. So this is actually a medical pool. We can actually bring animals back here that we need to do a medical procedure on, maybe check if a shark's pregnant or something like that. But then we expand that into a cage where we actually put guests in, snorkel, so the sharks are outside of the cage, ideally. The guests are inside, and you can get an up-close view of what sharks look like when they're swimming right towards your face.
Let's get in here.
Let's do it.
I'm going to check to see how cold this water is. Woo! That's chilly. Okay, luckily we have a summer intern to be able to get into the shark tank with us. This is Hunter Stunts.
Hi, I'm Summer Bait.
He'll be helping us with doing a little bit of filming. So this is incredible. This looks like an oil platform. Tell me about this exhibit.
It is. So this is our Islands of Steel exhibit to replicate an oil production platform you find in the Gulf of Mexico, and how important oil production platforms are to fish assemblages. So these are hard structures where a large community of fish hang out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and so a lot of people will fish off of these in the Gulf. So we replicate that. We've got sand tiger sharks in here. So this is a little bit of a heavier bodied shark that are a little bit slower, but they just do well with these types of fish. So tarpon, a lot of the game fish that we'd see in here, different jacks and drum species. And we talk about the importance of oil production platforms in the Gulf of Mexico, and how oil and gas are an important part of the economy in Texas, and doing that responsibly. And this is one of the original exhibits in the aquarium. This is 34 years old.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Okay, is there a way we can see this from the top?
We can. Let's go up top and see what they look like.
Awesome. So there is so much more into the behind the scenes and how all this stuff's taken care of.
Yeah.
It's pretty mind-blowing. So Tell me some more.
It is. So there's a lot that goes into this. So we have a professional biologist staff that take care of the animals that feed and monitor them. We have a number of veterinarians. We have veterinary nurses. We have an animal nutritionist. We have chemists. So this water throughout the entire aquarium is checked 24 hours a day. So there is a biologist at the aquarium 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, to make sure that the animals in the water are in good shape. So what's interesting about this exhibit itself is how we manage multi-species in this exhibit. So you got a lot of bony fish, you've got the large sharks, and one of the things that we really have to look at is how do we care for these animals. So some of these animals in the exhibit are pushing 20 years old. So you've got marine fish that in the wild, once they get a little bit older, they become weaker, and the system, they'll be taken out of the system by most likely a shark. So at the aquarium, they don't have that issue. Plus, they have their own doctors, they have their own nurses, they have their own psychologists. So we have to really consider when we bring animals into the aquarium, are we a good home for them? Because they're going to grow, they're going to get older. So how do we provide geriatric care for an animal? What does it look like as an animal goes through different life stages? So if you have a green sea turtle that comes in as a hatchling that's eating a lot of protein, that animal's going to shift over to mostly greens and vegetarian diet when it becomes older. So can we make sure we're providing these animals the best experiences possible? And we have a responsibility to care for them up until the end. It is a full operation here. So in animal care alone, we have about 70 staff members.
Well, I'm interested to see how we feed these animals.
I'd say let's give them breakfast.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, well, I'm like super excited. So we're actually going to get to feed these fish.
That's correct.
Well, tell me your name and what you do here and kind of guide us through the process.
For sure. My name is Denise Rocha, and I am the animal care coordinator here at the Texas State Aquarium. Today we're going to be feeding Islands of Steel. So this is the broadcast diet that we're going to be feeding the fish here in Islands of Steel. It has some herring, some capelin, shrimp, pellet, clam, and omnivore gel that just provides additional nutritional value for the fish. The fish get fed every day, and the sharks in the exhibit, the eel, and the sea turtles get fed 3 times a week. We log all of their diet intake along with any behavioral changes and their body condition scores, and that's how we keep track of how the fish are doing. So let's go ahead and feed MS1.
All right.
So we have some red drum in here, some black drum in here, some French grunts. We also have some sheep's head. Here's Tiki, our loggerhead, coming up to say hello.
There you go.
Opportunistic eater.
Okay, wow, what an amazing experience. Being able to go behind the scenes at the Texas State Aquarium, seeing the sharks, getting in the water with the sharks, feeding the animals. I mean, really just being able to see everything that they do behind the scenes to be able to keep this place running so that we can enjoy. So I want to be able to thank the Texas State Aquarium for allowing us to come out and do that. If you want to be able to see this type of stuff for yourself, come visit the aquarium. That's easy. If you want to hear more about sharks, we're going to be here July 12th talking about sharks and a whole special episode just on that. Now, say you don't get to see that, we're going to be on Shark Week. So this week, it's the second week of July coming out. Watch us on Shark Week. With that, that's all I got. So that's this episode of Beachcombing. We'll see you on the next one.